And let's get to our speaker, our fantastic Heather. So Heather, you want to turn on your camera and mic? There we go.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, so I'll just do a couple of things. When Heather's doing our talk, can you put, if you've got any questions for Heather or any little things that you want to maybe ask her, or you've got queries about, in the Q&A, you've got a chance, you could do chat with participants or the Q&A. If you could put everything in the Q&A so it keeps it all in one place, that would be great. And then Heather can go through that and then refer back to you if needs to be on there. And if there's nothing else from me, I will disappear and I will leave you to it, Heather.
Thank you.
And I'll stop sharing my screen if you want to share yours.
Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Heather. So I own One4Events, which is made up of 3 different branches. So One4Events is the event side of the company. One for the growth, we look after social media. And One for the kids, completely different, is a kids entertainment agency. So today we're also focusing on the One for the growth section on social media. So I'm going to share with you my screen, and it is quite small, the presentation, I noticed when I was practicing this. So you might want to just minimize me, please do, and look at the presentation. Okay. So basically, first of all, why social media? So 68% of adults are Facebook users, 18 to 24-year-olds, 78% are on Instagram and 45% on Twitter, and then even 65 plus, 37% of them are on social media. And these stats are a couple of years old, so they are growing as well. The reason to use social media, so obviously it drives traffic and it increases your SEO, so it's easier for people to find you. It'll help you understand your audience by looking at your insights and who is on each of your platforms. It creates brand awareness and also opens up communication and interaction with your target audience. As we go through this presentation, absolutely everything will help, but the main way to grow your business through social is to interact with your audience. And then finally, your competition are already doing this, and if they're not, then you will be ahead of them. I think particularly in lockdown, it's shown you that everything's going online. And yes, the physical events, going out will come back, but there is a level of online that will stay there. So I don't know if you can read the wee caption at the bottom, but we're incredible at remembering pictures, but here a piece of information and 3 days later, you'll remember 10% of it. But if you add a picture, you'll remember 65%. So I'm going to run through this presentation. There's quite a lot to try and put into 20 minutes. So what I'll do is I'll just run through the whole thing and then I'll come back and look at the Q&A afterwards. So first up, before you start your social media, I always say it's really important to get your brand right. So ideally you want to know what it's going to look like. And the first thing that you should really be doing is ideally go professional, so a graphic designer, a marketing professional, and get your logo done, create your color palette, your fonts, and basically get your whole brand guidelines sorted so that when you take your company to the next step, you know what it's going to look like. So really you're looking for your brand clarity. So what is it you do? What are your values? What personality are you bringing across? Is it your personality? Are you selling your own services? Or what's the personality of your business? What is it you want to come across? And most importantly, what's your target audience? Because you can do a brilliant, make social media look amazing, do brilliant campaigns, but if they're targeted at somebody that is not going to buy your service or your product, you're completely wasting your time. So if you go through that, first of all, and you know what you want to look like, it allows you to create what it is that you want to portray to your audience. And that once you've got that, try and stick with it. So I've got a couple of examples here, a before and after. So on the left-hand side here, you can see Tabo was a company we worked with briefly, just to allow them to get themselves up and running. And they had a nice colour palette they liked the pinks and the greys, but the photography wasn't great and it was a bit mishmash. So we tidied it up based on them being a beauty younger market, and you can see the difference. They had an idea of what it looked for, they just needed to pull it in a little bit and narrow it down. I'm sure if you know what mine mean, using EEC as an example as well. Now our branding is still underway. However, it was being used as a social platform, Instagram, and it's now moved into a more corporate platform. However, it's really important that you keep a bit of personality there. So whether you're looking at making it look corporate or not, always look at the writing and make sure that's bringing your personality across, because at the end of the day, people buy from people. So a few people have asked me what happens if you create this brand profile and then you want to change it. Again, I think you go back to your designer and ask them, are you going to do a rebrand or do you want to gradually merge that into it? But you can see that looking at both of these examples, that by stopping and looking and saying, what is it your business does and what do you want to portray, it allows you to really clearly see a before and after. Now at the end, I'll give you a few tips and some apps that we use, but just to give you an idea, this one here, this is an app that you can put in pictures of how you want it to look, and it gives you an idea before you go live what it is you actually, how your social is going to look. So second up is how will you create your posts. So right now it's all about visual. Predominantly every platform wants you to use video and use lives, be it on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. That's going to get you the most interaction. However, being realistic, we're not going live on camera every single day. We're not going to have nicely made videos every day. There's going to be some stuff you just want to put in that gives the information that's needed. So when you put any imagery onto social media, then it is up there. People can share it, they can use it. Particularly on Instagram, if you put something up, you no longer own it, so people can use that picture. So use this as an opportunity to watermark, so to speak, your images, so that if people are sharing it, it's free PR. So you want to make sure that it's really obvious that it's your picture, and ideally get a logo on it. That's not always doable, but try and have that brand awareness throughout, and if you can. But when you're thinking about what to post, think about, are you going to have set days? So a few examples here are mention Mondays, everyone knows follow Fridays. A couple of companies work with have got Final Facts Friday, just for a little bit different. Monday marketing, this is for the kids stuff, Wednesday for the Waynes. So are you going to have set days? So first of all, if you have them, it's really good to have a set image for them. It makes it really clear. This is the day that your audience get to interact and participate with you. Again, it's just creating more visibility and more engagement on your page. Do you have any set campaigns? So again, set campaigns, for instance, this one here was a charity we're working with, and over lockdown, they were trying to raise £25,000 for the charity. So with that, while their social media throughout all their platforms varies, they had this hard-hitting campaign where they had images that were done for that, so that when it went out, it looked different. If you've got something you want to put up, so obviously EEC, we do the events. So when I'm now scheduling post, I'm right, okay, one has to be the events that's coming up. So how's that going to look? If you've got a regular post, how's it going to look? Is it going to be the picture of the person talking? Or are you going to do, say, something like this one in the bottom right? Is it going to be social events or corporate events or this week's events? So first of all, what I think you need to do is have a look at what you're going to put onto your posts. What are you going to put onto your feed? And how's it going to look? Is it set posts like this, or is it going to be pictures? Or is there a mix? And if you do that at the same time that you're creating your brand guidelines and your logo and your colorings, then these are things that can be done at the same time. Okay, and then how are you going to do it? Are all your pictures going to be done by a designer? Is that realistic? If you're doing 4, 5, 6, 7 posts a day, can anyone realistically afford to have every one of them done, and then does it become too static, too stale? You want a mixture. If you want it just to make it look nice all the way through, it's something really simple that you can do in most of your phones is whatever picture you've got, put a filter onto it. It'll give you a nice look throughout your feed as well. And I can honestly so recommend Canva. I think a lot of people are using it now. You've got your standard Canva, you've got Canva Pro, but it gives you images you can use. It gives you so many templates, be it stationery or your social posts. You can use all your own imagery on it too. And what it does do in the Pro version is allow you to take your colours, take your branding, take your logo, put it all on there, and it gives you a palette to work with. So you know that whatever you do is going to fall into your brand palette and your brand guidelines. Next up is which platform. So honestly, there's no right and wrong answer to this, if I'm honest. We work with so many different types of clients, corporate, charities, bars, restaurants, and they've all got different platforms. What I would say is you should try them all to begin with, particularly if you're using a scheduling platform, just to see what works for your company. So I've put a little bullet points here just to each of them to give you an idea of who would thrive with on those platforms. So the myths are LinkedIn is stuffy and corporate. Well, it potentially used to be, but LinkedIn is really competing against Facebook now, and it's not stuffy and corporate at all anymore, and it's such an important place to be. Instagram is for the cool kids, Twitter is dated, and Facebook is an older crowd. So all the platforms can be good for your business. Try and test them. The only one I'd say you need to have a specific plan for in regards to your time is Twitter. It's still very much a chat platform, and the longevity of your tweet is so short that you really need to interact with it a lot. You need to create chat. You need to interact with other tweets as well. So quite a little overview. So Facebook, there's an audience for all businesses on Facebook, no matter what age. So while the algorithm will try and suppress any business post, there's other ways you can boost them. So you can financially boost posts and ads, which everyone knows about. However, you can also use groups, which is it's getting the biggest push just now through Facebook. Videos, lives, mix up your content, and always try and have something that will make people engage with you. Twitter is fast and furious, so some businesses can thrive. If you've got sports, politics, marketing, you need to invest your time in it though, because like I say, 3-4 seconds and your tweet starts falling down. LinkedIn is essential for business. So more than 44% of users have a salary above the national median. So there is money on there, and like Fiona said, we're all in business to make money at the end of the day. There's professionals who are there for business, and more than 50% are decision makers. LinkedIn's trying to compete with Facebook groups just now, so putting more focus on your business pages with new opportunities. So most people will notice that your business pages tend to be quite low in numbers. You use your own personal one, that's where your contacts are. Well, LinkedIn is starting to push those a bit more. So there's added extras you can do, like you can add contacts, you can do events. Unlike the more other social platforms, LinkedIn loves a video, a live, and a good set of hashtags. Instagram, so I heard this quote and I just loved it. So Instagram is a smorgasbord of eye-catching visuals and inspiring creativity. So I'm a big fan of smorgasbords, so that quote had to go in there. It is not mine. Predominantly 18 to 35-year-olds, however, the market is growing and it's growing older as well. It's a great platform for any product-based, visual or small businesses to shine. It's where influencers can thrive. Please don't put influencers solely in the box of your social media, bikini-clad girls. business influencers are massive as well, and you'll see that a lot of networking groups are growing quickly on Instagram too. At the end of the day, networking is all about people, so and people love visuals, so it makes sense that Instagram will become a big platform for networking as well. Also, particularly for product-based companies, so since introducing shoppable posts in 2018, the potential return on your investment for product-based businesses is higher than ever. So not only can businesses connect with each other, but there's a massive audience there too. And also you can directly link sales through your shoppable posts as well, so you know what's coming from there. So sorry, I'm totally flying through this, but I'm aware of time. I'll come back to any questions. I can't answer your questions just now, but I'll come back to any of them. So posts, when and how many? This is the question that the answer could change every other week if you solely stick to your algorithms and looking at your insights. So social media is like any membership really. So the more you put into it, the more you'll get back. We've all had gym memberships that we have never used and we still sit there unfit. I have many of these. So social media is exactly the same. Although it does go for quality as well. So if you're totally going for algorithms and trying to beat the algorithms, completely be on top of the algorithms, yeah, that's good, well done. However, you will forever be disappointed. You will forever be pulling your hair out trying to beat it because they change. And you don't get a nice little email to say, guess what, this is going to change, stop doing this, but do this tomorrow instead. It just changes and you see things. You try and work it out. So what I would say is keep an eye on your insights and analyze your posts. So see when your insights will tell you when the best time to post is, who your audience are on each of your platforms, and then you'll know when to post on each platform. That takes trial and error. So it can take a few months doing different things on different platforms. And you'll sometimes find that if you have a really good interactive audience, you don't actually have to change it too much. Your audience will interact when you put a post up. It's rare, but it does happen. Networking groups are quite good for that as well, because if you're part of a membership, you'll go and have a look as well. So you always want to be seen as often as possible, because on average, your post is just like an advert, and like anything, it takes 10 to 12 times for you to see something for it to really stick. The abnormality on this part is people buy from people. So if you're a lot more visual and you put a lot more of you up, a lot more lives, a lot more video, then people will buy from you. So you might not have to do 10, 12. Okay, it's the same as if you're trying to get a kid to eat vegetables. It says it takes 10 to 12 times of them trying a bit of carrot or trying a pea to get them to actually start liking it. I'm not convinced with that. My daughter does not eat vegetables at all. Anyway, so you should be posting the minimum of 4 posts a week, but it has to be good quality and relevant information. So it should be planned out in advance to ensure that you have a good mix of information so it's not repetitive or bore your audience. However, do not post just for the sake of posting. So what I normally do is say, like, if we've got 4 posts, what days do they want to go out? Once you've been posting for a while, be able to see like above when you should be posting, and then go, what information has to go across this week? When does that have to go across? Just schedule them in. And how are you getting it across? So have a think, video content, live content, there always has to be imagery. Imagery stops the scrollers. If you just have text, people will scroll by it. Engagement posts, so something that makes people interact. A call to action. Call to action used to be your click here to book, click here to see my website. A call to action can be something as simple as telling somebody about an event and where they can find it. Because people will go and do stuff. It doesn't have to be a cold, hard sell. Also something to note on your call to actions, particularly in LinkedIn, that anything that takes somebody away from that site, it'll get pushed down. LinkedIn particularly don't like you directing somebody away from LinkedIn. So if you are putting on a link to go to book a ticket somewhere, put it in your comment, not in the actual post, because they don't like it. So you can always just put book a link in the comment, and that's the easiest way to do it. It's also a good one because I'll go on to algorithms later, but most sites work in basically a point system, and comments are good. So you can also put appreciation posts, thank yous, and shout out to others as well. The more you do that, people see your personal side, and the shout out to others help to increase your visibility by tagging other people in as well. And then be aware that you don't want it all to be too salesy. So a bit of local information. I look after a Glasgow charity on social media, and it's all about poverty. And today there's a post up, and it's about the We Will Inky, the poem, and it was done by a Glasgow author. But he lived in poverty and died in poverty. So links into the charity, but just a little bit of fun information, and it just breaks it up. And your engagement posts can do that as well. Engagement posts would be things like, if you want to ask a question, so something simple, and you can guarantee things like this will always get you questions, or get you interaction, is, do you believe in this, or do you believe in that? Or something more corporate, you might want to put, does the rule of 6 affect your business? And that will help get your interaction going as well. Okay, so once you've chosen your week's post, go back to your branding, choose how you deliver the message, and remember that the image will stop the scrollers. And the first line will decide if we'll go any further, and then you follow on with your core message. Your interaction with your audience is key as well. So I'm saying most platforms on a point system. To give you an example of this, if you take LinkedIn, for example, so if you get a comment, say you get 1 point, if somebody comments on that, it's 2 points. If somebody shares it, it's 3 points. The more interaction, the more you comment, the more they comment, the more interaction you get, the more points you get, the further up the visibility tree, so to speak, that you will you'll move. And that interaction and that engagement is key across all platforms. So whatever you do, think, is somebody going to interact with this? Or is it going to direct somebody to my website? What is the outcome of your post? Okay, it's just some wee stats there. I'll send this out afterwards so you can go through and look at all the little stats. Okay, and finally on to hashtags. So hashtags does seem to be the thing that changes most often and confuses people most often, and it's understandable. So a hashtag is basically a filing system. If you search for a hashtag, anything that's been tagged into that word will be there. So just like if you're putting something into a filing system, if you want to look for Glasgow photographers, you search the hashtag Glasgow photographers, they'll all come up if they've tagged that. So it's just another way of being found. And think of hashtags as a little community to where your people live. That's quite cute. So basically, that means that if you're looking for, your hashtag should be relevant to your business and to what you're posting. So if you're posting, again, about Glasgow photography as an example, then if you do Glasgow photographers, then that's all your people, that's all the photographers, that's who you're looking for, it's who you're targeting. So it's a filing system, but it's a way to find your people too. So why hashtags? Increases your SEO, increases your visibility. It cements your target and interests to your audience. So if you're reading a post and they've got hashtags, 3 different hashtags, you know that is the key people or the key elements that you are talking about and targeting on that post. And also it helps your growth. So for instance, if I go back to the Glasgow charity that I work with, if I'm looking for things on Glasgow poverty, if I put in the hashtag Glasgow poverty, then that'll bring up everything with anyone that's tagged that. Therefore, I'll probably go and follow them, the ones that are relevant. So again, you've instantly grown your followings. How many hashtags? There is a million different arguments depending what you read, when you read it, about how many hashtags to put on. And there is some things that are pretty set, but don't get too bogged down on the number. Make sure it's the right ones. So Instagram changes left, right, and center, to be honest. You can do the maximum of 30 hashtags. It will not allow you to post if you go over 30 hashtags. So there's a million different arguments of how many, but the algorithm keeps on changing on Instagram. It just keeps on changing. So my advice is use your 30 hashtags. It will help your visibility. It will help you grow. It will make you visible to so many different, so many new people as well, and it won't mark you down. It's a lot of hashtags to do, but we'll talk about hashtag banks in a second. It's not as big on Facebook, so between 1 to 3, again, don't worry if you've got 5 or 6, but between 1 to 3, but it's not like Instagram or LinkedIn where you put it down the bottom generally. You can nestle them through the text. So if you're talking about poverty in Glasgow is a big deal, you might want to put hashtag poverty, hashtag Glasgow, and then the rest of your text, because you're looking to target it regard anyone looking for poverty and anyone looking at Glasgow. So you maybe nestle them through the text rather than stick them at the bottom. LinkedIn, 5 to 6 hashtags. Hashtags are really big in LinkedIn and they're growing. As long as you've got 3, I'd say don't put less than 3. 3 is a good number, but 5 to 6 again will just increase where you're visible to. But you don't want to put too many. At the end of the day, LinkedIn's different from Instagram. It is very much. It is still corporate. It is still business. So you don't want to go too hashtag crazy. And then Twitter, to be honest, is really limited. You get such a small amount of text that you can put onto a tweet that I would recommend using up. Put information you need to in your tweet and then put a few, whatever space you've got left for your hashtags. But there's not a set number because there can't be. There's just not enough space in Twitter. So hashtag banks. So hashtags, the biggest thing with hashtags is actually trying to think of them. So you don't want to repeat the same hashtags in all your posts. It's picked up as spam and your post will be pushed down the algorithm. So for each post you do, so if you're now thinking, okay, I've got my 4 posts, I know what I'm doing, write your hashtags, write your 30 hashtags for them. And say it's a business networking post, have 30 business networking hashtags, put it in a little bag, save it on your phone, save it on a Word document in your computer. So that anytime you do business networking, you can go and pick from them and put it in. And whatever post you do the same thing until you have a list of banks of different hashtags for what you would use for what post you're going to do. And you can pick and choose from them. It means that you're not writing the same things again and again. When I say don't use the same hashtags in every post, you can use the same hashtags on your business networking posts, but don't have the same hashtags, the same 30 or the same 6 or 5 on every single post. It will get picked up. Just mix it up a little bit. But yeah, it's unrealistic to think that you can come up with that number of hashtags fresh every single time. And make it a mix of niche and big hitter hashtags. So you'll be able to find out what are the good ones and the niche ones and what ones are the huge ones with 1 million followers just by typing it into your platform, your search bar, be it LinkedIn or Instagram, and it'll come up with that hashtag and how many followers you've got. And always add a location as well. So Glasgow photographer, photographer in Glasgow photography, because different people will search for different things. So try and cover those bases. It also helps you to create more hashtags as well by using that variation. Finally, types of hashtags. So you've got your niche ones, so specific to your role, so romance writer or event organizer. Your community ones is people within a set field, so writers of Instagram, LinkedIn writer, event planner. A campaign, so this is if you've got a product or a particular campaign that you're doing in order to track engagement. So everyone knows the Ice Bucket Challenge. Branded, so specific to your business, so One4Events, EEC Collective. I use this a lot. I do social for a bar called Brew 74, and They've been doing the same thing for a long time. It just works. But I always search their hashtag to see if anyone's tagged them in pictures, because if you're doing a lot of posts, sometimes other people tagging you and stuff will give you some content, which is great. Again, why you want to put your logo on things. Special days, Christmas, National Beer Day, etc. And again, your location. So where you are, your area, what you're doing. So if you are struggling with coming up with your hashtag banks, go through these different types of hashtags and start thinking about some for each of them, and it'll help you to create them. So I think that's it. I'll stop sharing my screen now. Okay, that was a lot of information. Presentation was so small. Don't worry, I will send this out to everybody, and if you get any questions on it, I can go through it with you individually anyway. Let me just go through the questions. 2 seconds. Why is the presentation so small? Yeah, that's my computer. Used to be regular page indicating best. A regular page indicating best times to post on various platforms. So there is 2 arguments for this. Is there a similar set times document? No, not that I'm aware of, solely because your audience are on at different times to another platform or another business. So on Instagram, for instance, you tend to get a lot more in the evening. On LinkedIn, people are tempted to post on that kind of run into work, so your commute. However, there's so many posts at those times, you may be better to post at 11 o'clock. I think your best option is really just to look at your own algorithm, your own insights, and see when your audience is on. And if you've got something you want to repeat post to really push home a message, post it at different times through the week and see which one gets the most interaction. Yeah, I get 10 different accounts that I look after, and their audiences are all on at different times. So I don't think there's a set one that you could just put on a document for everyone to follow. Presentation, yeah, Brian, I'll follow that. So if you follow the 2 hashtags, automatic retweet, journal request, PR request. I don't know, I don't have a bank of other ones, no, but I can certainly have a look and see. There's a couple of companies we work with that are, I'll show you this book actually, which is all on hashtags. So this book here, I'll send it out again, I'll put the notes. So it's all about Instagram hashtags. This is written by Julie Christie Clark, who is from Glasgow, and it's got everything you need to know about hashtags in it. So if you have a look in there, it's got your repeat ones as well. So I'll ask her and see if she knows, Jimmy, of any ones that will, repost for you. And I think that's it for the questions, unless anyone's got anything else. The other thing I would say is you can do everything. You can follow all the rules. You can post the right things at the right time, do the right hashtags, put on the right pictures, do the right branding. But what you really need is your engagement. And this is where, for instance, all you guys, EEC members, you can be each other's cheerleaders. The biggest way to grow your online presence is through engagement. So if somebody's put a post up, just go on and like it, put a wee comment, even if just like great post or like the post or smiley face. The more engagement you have, the more visibility you get as well. And there'll be people you don't even know start commenting in your posts because it starts to get more visible. And that's when you can start growing your business. So that is me. I think I've talked for long enough. My voice is starting to go. I think you're on mute, Fiona.
My apologies, chatting away to myself there. There was a couple of people snuck in with some questions. So Michael said, should you make up your own hashtag to see if they work or just use established popular ones?
Both. So always do a mix. So that's where your niche ones comes in. Your made up ones, Michael, are perfect if you're trying to track something. So I've just started a new chicken challenge hashtag for a charity, and we just want to track if it works or not. The charity has never done a campaign before, so that is a good way of trying to track things that you're doing, particularly particular campaigns. And it's always good to have your company name as a hashtag too. So it's an EEC hashtag. Yeah, so we tend to put EEC Collective and EEC on all Instagram posts and some of the LinkedIn ones as well. It just means that you can look and see who's looking at your business.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. I've just put it in there. EEC Collective is one I use a lot, or you can put EEC for short, depends on what's happening on there. Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. Thank you very much, Heather. That was really interesting. As Heather said, we'll get these out to you, the lists on there. She's kindly going to share that with us all so we can all get better with it. And also what Heather said is share each other's posts. Something you can do is sometimes it's hard for us to find them, but as a member, I've either added you or tried to add you onto our WhatsApp group. And sometimes what's good is if you click your link on there, your LinkedIn link, and say, look, I put this post up, can you share it? Can you like it or whatever? So let's help build each other's profiles on there. So if there's anything specific, if you've got an event coming up, make sure you put them on the groups, the EEC Facebook groups, the LinkedIn groups. Also put it in the WhatsApp as well, because people themselves might want to see it. Not everyone uses all the platforms, so it's actually quite difficult. There's so many different places, so it's hard to put them in everywhere. But yeah, let's get sharing each other's on that side and build each other up. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Heather. So we're going to get cracking now on speed networking.